Oh, let's not wait any longer. Here for you in sepia, no less. This is Dirty 20 Gaming. My name is Kevin, and tonight one of my friends is here to play a game with me, and that makes me happy. It's not like other people refuse to play. It's just this is a one-on-one one shot, so we're going to need one person, and who better than somebody who puts in all the extra time as our producer for several shows and makes underlays and overlays and images and intros and puts in videos, and you didn't think this was going to happen. This is a huge thank you for all of the work that you do, because I know how much it is. I do lots of it. So I appreciate the heck out of you as a member of our community and as a producer for the shows. So well deserved indeed, and not just because he's under the same roof with you and sleeps there.
I,
I
I didn't come here for this kind of abuse.
and with that I will stop because I wanted to make you only a little bit uncomfortable, not too much. But tell us about the shows that you produce and otherwise sort of yeah. What do you do when you're not here?
Hearing a double glory. Oh,
Oh, hang on.
is there a double me?
One moment.
Do you have the stream unmuted? That might be it.
Both are okay. That
I've been producing so much that Kevin forgot how.
I think I might know what the name is.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
actually, I don't know how bad the double glory is, so I don't.
Let me, because I'm not hearing it, so that means it's got to be me. But it's not
It's
registered.
okay.
It's
It
not
gives
registered.
me
Go
time
ahead.
to. I was just gonna say it gives me time to think about what shows I produce when I'm here, what I do, how I do it.
Oh, hang on a second.
Did not expect to stump Kevin this early in the game.
Has that fixed it? Can I ask you to talk again?
Yeah. How's that, you guys? How's that? It's fixed. Good job.
I had hidden a source in OBS, but I had not muted it before I hid it.
Oh,
Because I
oh,
thought OBS would use.
common sense.
Yeah, anyway.
Oh,
Hey, good. As much as two of you is twice as good as one of you. Now that
is
you
it
don't have.
though?
It is. It
Is it
absolutely
though?
is. Less
Because we
glory,
would
sad
fight.
face, but easier to understand. There you go.
We would we would fight. Yeah, so
Tell us
I'm
about yourself.
here on Thursdays as just the producer. I mean as only the producer, not like just the producer. Um I am the producer for Deviant Paradox, which is Sarah's tortuous game based in City of Mist, or using the City of Mist system. I don't remember the name of the town, but it doesn't matter anyway because City of Mist is a town outside of reality, and that's sort of how it goes, and it's really interesting. I get to sob behind the camera, which is nice because because then I don't have to worry about being on camera while I'm crying.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and then Siosa makes me cry as my storyteller on Sunday. Um, uh, in Shadow of the Walk Term, and I do play in that. I produce it, but I play in it also, where I have a noble woman who has been on a date recently, which was fun.
Oh, nice.
Meanwhile, everybody else is trying to stop the city from getting blown up, and she's getting romanced. So that's actually kind of fun.
I love it.
Um, and then tonight, I am playing Miss Olivia Throckmorton, journalist extraordinaire, who has written so many articles about the robotics side of life that she has become somewhat of an expert in robotic ethics and the three laws of robotics.
Yes.
which is not at all applicable to current times and current journalism.
Which is really funny because they were written mostly in the 60s, the stories that I'm stealing most of this from. So some things never change. But thank you for coming to play this game tonight. I'm not even going to talk about the other games and the other nights of the week because I
Because
want to
you hear
talk
all
about.
of them.
I'm not actually. I'm only here three. There are many people here more than I am, but I want to talk about this game a little bit. First of all, the background art, the frames that were behind. Those are all from Pixabay. Beautiful, wonderful place where you can find all kinds of magnificent images to use. The system we're using tonight is a non-system. It is not a system in any way, shape, or form. There's no books. There's no rule manuals. All you need is a die of any kind and an idea about who your character is. In this case, we are doing them using the magnificent, the wonderful, the underutilized D12. You said you had a whole bunch of them. Which one have you got there?
This one is a pretty pink one with glitter in the middle.
It's so
So
hard to see in sepia.
I know. I know. It's actually I didn't have any dice, and my husband got me a set of these beautiful like liquid core with purple glitter in the middle as
So
my first
pretty,
set of dice.
so
So
pretty. So, are we going to use that one until it rolls poorly, and then we'll use another one? Is that
I
how we're
have
going?
a I have a backup like sort of malachite colored green one
Ooh,
with like it
ooh, ooh,
has
ooh.
sort of bronze numbers on it, so
Nice.
I'm like this seems thematic.
Yep, yep. Well, we'll see where the
Um
story goes.
yeah,
Yeah.
depending. So
All right.
I
Light and
have
dark.
two of them.
Yes. Wonderful. Okay.
And
Uh, yeah. And so we're using D12. So the rule is when you want to do something, I'm going to say, how good are you at that? And you're going to tell me somewhere between 0 and 6 because it's half of the die. If we were using the D6, it would be between 0 and 3. How good are you at that? And you're going to add that number to what you roll, and I'm going to tell you what level of success that brings. Because this is a mystery. So I cannot hide important things behind rolls. It doesn't matter who finds it or how it's found or how much you put together. So that's
so
how simple that is. Yeah.
zero is if I'm like actively bad at it or
Uh,
just have no skill.
uh,
Like, are there negatives?
I have chosen just to not have negatives in this
Okay.
game. So the zero would be I have no real skill, but because this is a Victorian steampunk adventure, you are skilled to some level at everything. You are at least as good as everybody else at everything.
Renaissance
So
woman.
yes, that's kind of. Oh, I'm glad you said that because that's gonna come back. That's foreshadowing. You didn't even know
Gonna come back to haunt me.
it. In a good way, in a very good way.
Curse you, Renaissance, and your art.
Oh, but one more thing before we get started. The world that tonight happens in. I have added all the steampunk elements. Obviously, they did not exist in history, and I messed with biology in a couple places. But having said all of that, all the people that you meet, all the NPCs you meet tonight are based on real people who were alive at or very near the same time frame that we're going the game in, which, for anybody that really wants to be picky about it, is 1788
I'm so excited. I
in
cannot
London, in
wait
a
to see who you
very
pull out.
alternate London.
Yes.
So, I've obviously taken some liberties, but the credits and honors when I tell you about these people are all absolutely true and accurate. Let's put that over there, put that over there, and read some stuff. In other words, let's get started. You want to end up before an ethics committee because this is wait till yeah.
I am the
Uh,
ethics committee.
yes.
I
Besides which,
am the
this is
Senate.
it's 1788. Ethics has got a lot to do with where you live. Speaking of which, you got a letter. That's how this all started. That's how everything starts in Victorian England. It's always a letter in the Morning Post, right?
Yes.
But you opened this one up, and the letterhead read, "Lady Ada Lovelace, mechanical interlocutor, metaphysician, analyst." The address is in the very best part of London. Those that live there are fantastically wealthy and fantastically powerful. It takes both. It's less than 1% people and 99% mechanical servants, robots, your specialty. The letter said that a kidnapping had occurred and that somehow robots are suspected of committing the crime, even though that shouldn't be possible. You have been summoned to attend to this matter based on your specialist knowledge of robotics and specifically Sir Isaac's three laws of robotics that are hardwired into every single one of them. The bottom of the letter, the signature is stunning. Takes you a moment to realize that it will actually fit inside a Fibonacci spiral. The letter included a first class ticket to London and a clear, if unwritten, expectation that you will attend post haste.
I mean, she probably knows my boss.
You may,
She
yeah,
may actually own the paper that I work for.
yeah. Well, given, yeah, we'll see. But yes, at the very least, this is, I mean, this is one of the most famous people currently alive at this time. Her and Sir Charles Babbage are all about the difference engine, the analytic engine, the first steam-powered mechanical computers in this world. But you were asked to come because you are a specialist. That's the word they used with a capital S, so it must be true. In Sir Asimov's three laws of robotics. The first law, a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Seems pretty basic. The second law, a robot must obey orders given to it by a human being except when such orders would conflict with the first law. So you can't order them to hurt anybody or kill anybody. The third law says a robot must protect its own existence because they're expensive, but only as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second laws. Everybody knows those, but you've written papers, you've written articles, you are a renowned expert in the field. Even though Sir Isaac himself has since passed on. So we start as you ponder those in the ornithopter, the Schmetterling der Hephaestus. It
Really?
floats, it flits, it glitters, it refracts, it reflects, it sparkles like the mythical steel and stained glass butterfly it is named after. That's the butterfly of Hephaestus, the god of forges. Um, the head, all aluminum and black glass, houses the flying station and the officers' quarters. The thorax and tail have that translucent oiled paper over tensioned wire frame look that allows the vague shapes and movements of the ship's workings to be seen through them like the animated skeletons of pteranodons long dead. The vast four-lobed wings move gracefully, their sheer scale belying the speed at which they flap. Carefully placed exhaust vents mean that the wingtips trail vortices of steam that leave parallel sine waves in the sky. You've been through the near vertical takeoff. You've been through the high speed, constant flapping that brought you here to London. And now you experience the breaking flutter. The nose of the craft just lifts up, and you can look through the hazy floor of your cabin as the dozen moth like legs extend. The ship stalls like a feather and settles. The rear legs land first, and a few steps are all that are needed for all the legs to be down and the last of the forward motion to cease. When the steam of the landing dissipates, the thorax settles on the Hyde Park airfield. You can see the castle, it's right over there. Through the clear, polished porthole, you can see a group of guilt-wrapped robots rush forward to service the craft. Their maker's marks are clear to see, and you recognize them. Most of them are the reputable house of Fabergé, but there are a few local caterhams doing the heavy lifting. They're functioning well, but their movements are somewhat proscribed by the Rococo gentleman's costumery that they're wearing, complete with hats, heaps of gilded embroidery, collars, frills, and knee-high stockings. Beyond them, you see London in all its steamy, gritty, sooty, smoky glory. Various times in history, the empire centered here colonized over 80% of the planet. Those days are gone, long past, and time has laundered the money that those ill gotten gains brought here. Now only the money and those that control it still exist, insulated from the rest of the world. That is until they need a specialist like you. Customs
The,
is perfunctory. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say the sun never sets, right?
Yes, the empire on which the sun until very recently never set. Customs is pretty perfunctory. Not many people are getting off at London because not many people are invited. It's very efficient and thorough, though. The robot who performs it is also in Rococo dress. It must be the uniform of the airport staff, but it seems to be like there's a lot of color and detail differences that denote function and status. But it looks like there's probably a book that comes along with it. It's really complex. One of them looks at you and says, "Name."
Miss Olivia Throckmorton,
And they and into a big mechanical typewriter. Occupation.
journalist.
Reason for visit.
I was invited.
And you see on the paper just above them it says on the business of a lady or gentleman. And then it stops and the hands come down off the keyboard and it turns to you and it does, there's no need to, it doesn't have eyes, it's just it's a sort of an animiform robot. It turns to you and says, any drugs or contraband?
No,
Are you a member or have you ever been a member of any anarchist, communist, or socialist political party, action groups, organizations, political parties, or fandoms of same?
goodness gracious, no.
They then hold up the 3D stippled daguerreotype image in your passport and compare it to you. It matches, but what do they see?
So this woman is on the shorter side, and she's well proportioned. So in the style of the day, she's got the flat front and the fanned out skirt, a nice jacket, a hat. Under the hat, she's got kind of sandy blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got probably like the green hazel eyes that, maybe they're green, maybe they're brown, maybe.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And she's dressed very smartly, but also very practically. Like there are just enough frills not to cause insult, but
Yes.
she's not
Yep.
overly ornate about it.
Yep.
Has the gloves, you know, all of that.
Perfect. They hand you back your passport. They search your baggage without asking. They stamp your documents. And they have you sign many, many documents about behaving yourself within the city limits.
Mind the delicates when you search.
It's a robot, though. Does it really matter?
Ah,
But
well,
the
I don't, if they're clumsy, I mean,
oh yes, oh no, everything is put back perfectly folded.
good.
They
In all
may
four
they
trunks.
yes, I mean this robot does this for a living. They may have even repackaged for efficiency. Yeah, but when they're done, the door opens and you perceive before you the car that has been sent for you. Because that's the
Is
only
it
way you get
car?
into London. A car is a very small word for a very big thing. You can use the cobblestones like along the thing to kind of count and see how big it is. It's about I converted to American for you. It's about 27 feet long, 8 feet wide, and a full 12 feet high. It's
Goodness
the size
gracious.
of a small locomotive. The engine and the cart at the front, because it is steam powered, are covered with oversized replicas of Roman armor that take the shape of a wingless wasp. It hisses dramatically and expels steam from vents up and away from the passengers. A robot dressed like a minimalist version of a Roman centurion opens the clamshell door as they go like that
Hmm.
and gestures into lush and mostly sort of red and purple crushed velvet interior. It's
And am I
it's
the
as
only one?
overdone as you are under. Yeah, yeah.
And am I the only one in this car, or do I have companions?
Not only are you the only one in the car, there's only a seat for one. There is one seat at the back in the middle, placed in the perfect spot to see out the windows.
Oh, delightful.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm going to take the robot's help and
yeah.
get into the cart. Make sure all four of my trunks are loaded properly.
Oh yes, yes. That was the next line was you watch a Roman centurion load your carts into the back of the large storage area at the back of the this creation.
I packed light, so it's all necessary.
It's only 4 bags. That is
It's
not
only
knowing how
four.
long you were here for. That is a minimalist approach indeed. Uh,
Yeah, so she's gonna go ahead and hop in the back, and um, I mean, since there's nobody else around, she's definitely gonna like, because I think this is her first time to London proper.
yes.
So she's like the little kid in the back seat,
Oh,
like,
perfect. Because the clamshell door is closed. And now you can, as soon as they do, you can feel a bit of a breeze, and there's like flower smell
oh,
that's
refreshing.
being piped in. Um, meanwhile outside you can see the grit and the soot and the smoke now that you're in here with the flowers, it stunk out there. It was really, it smelled like a city that uses a lot of steam and coal. But you're in here now, so everything's nice. And like as you're literally or not, it can be one way glass. You're sort of meep out the looking out the windows,
Yes.
which is perfect because London, as I wrote here, London puts on quite a show. You see a young man with the typical steampunk goggles and top hat, but it's all like creamsicle colored, the tuxedo, and he's got a wind up monkey on his shoulder like a parrot. He's riding a penny farthing bicycle powered by a small methane engine, and that fuel is supplied from a bag that floats above and behind him as he rides. You can't hear him because he's outside, but you can see him go by. Nobody's even looking, right? You see in a park a steam powered Strand Beast convention where proud owner, have you seen the Strand Beast on the beach? And they're wind powered and they walk up the beach like animals or insects, but they're like
I
12 feet tall, so they're borderline creepy.
I don't think I've seen a let me Google a
Strand
strand
and then
beast.
BEEST. But while you look that up, I'll go to the next one. Uh, there's a 3-story tall marble run. Yeah, I'll let you process Strand Beast. Now imagine a whole park full of those, but they're steam powered, so they're not wind dependent, and all the proud owners of them watching them storming up and down the park.
That's so cool.
There's a three-story tall marble run that once a minute shows the correct time as the marbles pass through it. There's, for some reason, in a small park, clockwork Morris dancers going through the whole shaky, wiggly, bangy, clacky, noisy process over and over and over again. And then there's a weird spot because it's a built bend in the road. It forces you to come to a stop for a moment, and your eyes kind of look this way, and you can see on 3 separate walls, so that it's only visible from right here where the perspective is. There's a piece of graffiti, and it reads, "Eat the rich, they are well fed and tender."
Ah,
And it's signed Angsty.
okay. That's that's a little bit morbid.
But to yeah, but whoever Angsty is so rich that it has to be an art installation. The bend in the road has no other purpose than to stop you at the only place in the city where this can be seen. So it's not hidden, it only appears to be. So apparently this is a local's art exhibit.
Well, that's just rude.
Anyway, you get past all that weirdness to number 5 Devonshire Street. Yes, it's a real address in London. It's a 3-story brownstone. At the point you get there, it's painted a white so bright that it looks like marble. They've even put in the sort of silver drippy bits to make it look more like marble. The Roman conductor opens the door of the car for you, and you're a little bit away from downtown, so it's not quite so loud and not quite so sooty. But you see that the house robots here wear togas, and they rush out down the stairs into the back of the thing and start hauling your 4 bags in. There's actually more robots than there are bags, so they're kind of almost jostling to, so they've all got something to do. They once they get your bags and run back inside, the only one left is the butler bot. He wears a cloth of gold toga and a brass laurel wreath. They bow very lowly, and and the voice intones, "Sir Babbage and Lady Ada will see you now." They turn impossibly, like rotating on the hip in only a robot can do, and gesture inside. They say to you, "They're in the drawing room," as though you would know where that is.
Great. Um, okay, so first of all, she's going to pick up her jaw from the bottom of the
Yeah,
coach.
yeah,
And she's a little surprised because, like, so I'm picturing like the robots, like, kind of like, hup, 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 hup,
yep,
like with her bags back and forth between them, like
yep.
almost tossing them. And she's like, I hope they don't break anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the butler bot, the buttle bot,
Buttlebot, I love it. Yeah, he buttles. Yes,
comes in, says that they're gonna see her like before she even gets a chance to change from traveling or anything.
yes. Oh, yes.
Um,
Rude. Rich
it
people are
must
like
be
that, though. Yeah.
must be urgent.
Yes.
So she's going to kind of study like the bot a little bit curiously, and then sort of, please please point the way.
Yeah. And but there's no self consciousness at all because it's a robot. They are a simulacrum. You know this. This is why they have the rules. They are a simulacrum of sentience. You can talk to them. They can interact with you, but they're not difficult to befuddle. And they don't get offense when you stand there and look how their elbow works. Like they you know it, especially you, right? This is your thing. But as you step in, you see the the trunk bots taking your stuff up the stair, and they've got one
Hup,
sort.
hup, 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 up the
Oh,
stairs.
hello, Alex. Wow, cool. Nice to see you there. A wind up monkey on your shoulder sounds like an old timey idiom. Yes, I'll see you. Is that an innuendo? No, I've really got. No, anyway.
Is that a
Uh,
monkey in your pocket or?
the banister is weird, is oddly shaped until you realize that it's actually a rail mounted sideways because it goes up like this. Of course, it's a spiral one, right? So the bots go over, and as their little legs are climbing this, I mean their little legs, their human legs are climbing the stairs. They hook one hand over that railing to keep them from falling over, and they kind of head up the spiral that way, traveling faster than they normally should be able to. But their hand is
Zoom.
catching them so that they don't g-force out on that. You see that heading up in that direction, and then it becomes clear why he didn't. The butler maybe didn't say more than he did because you're in a grand foyer and there's doors everywhere, but there's a big set of double doors here that are open.
Hmm.
They're the only doors that are open. It's
I'm
probably the
gonna,
drawing room.
but I one hopes. So so upon entering,
Yeah.
um, she fights down the urge to climb up the stairs just so she can slide down that banister.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And instead kind of politely approaches the open door, like not tentatively, but she's not like striding in there like she
Yeah.
owns the place.
Perfect. As you close in, first the smell hits you. It's pipe tobacco and good brandy. It smells like
like
the
money.
gentleman's club and lots of money. Yeah. When you step to the door, you can see. I mean, you've seen him on the coins, standing right there with his whole face hanging out and everything, standing at his own bar, pouring himself a drink out of a crystal decanter into a mug or into a glass that costs more than your year's salary. Is the one, the only Sir Charles Babbage. He looks exactly like the guy on the coin. A dour old man with a harsh stare and one of the old fashioned sort of fluffy, floofy, droopy bow ties and a
Mm-hmm.
raised collar that
Mm-hmm.
they don't flip it down.
Mm-hmm.
And he glares at you from in front of the bar. His hair, what's left of it, sort of just shoots off in all directions like they forgot to do it. They put him in a suit, but they forgot to do his hair, is what it looks like. He has spent his lifetime, working with some of the greatest minds of the age. He's an inventor, a creator, a polymath, the father of computing. His difference engine changed the world. The original takes up 3 floors and the basement of the neighboring attached house. Number 6 is the computer, number 5 is where they live. He points at you with the hand holding the crystal decanter. You can just see the label that says Aberfelby Scotch Whiskey on it. He points at you and says, "How did you get in here? You're not a street musician, are you?"
No, sir. I was directed in here.
And the door in the back of the room opens, and as this guy is the exact opposite, just walks into the corner of the room. They're just a presence. There's just sort of a gentleness that comes off them like the Dalai Lama. And they sort of walk in, and you see Babbage put the decanter down. At least he's still got the drink in his hand, but he puts the decanter down. Her gown is also somewhat similar to yours, a simplified, elegant version of the current fashion in the city. But this person is, just like Babbage, instantly recognizable. They've got coins struck in their name. This is Lady Ada Lovelace. A tutor in her childhood saw how special she was and called her the Princess of Parallelograms. Babbage himself is on the record calling her the Enchantress of Numbers. She says, "No, Charles. This is Olivia. I told you about her. I've hired her to help us with this kidnapping." She turns to you, ignoring him for a moment while he and tries to come up with a way that he remembered this. And she turns to you and says, "Lady Ada, analyst and metaphysician, when we're in private, please call me Ada. When we're in public, we do as we must. You come very highly recommended. I love your work."
Thank you so much. So Olivia is a little flustered. She's not a young reporter, but she's
Mm-hmm.
not like a matron either. She's like mid-career,
Yep,
and so she's not so jaded that she can't be a little bit starstruck,
yep,
especially by the people that are in the room with her.
yes.
So
Well,
so she's
I was just gonna say, Lady Ada has said that she's read your work and seen your work. So tell us a little bit about your work
I
and
know, oh my God.
the real historical magazine that you work for.
The one that we found that was delightful.
Yes.
So she works for the Ladies Pocket magazine, which is known as a monthly that is pocket sized. I guess back when ladies had pockets as a standard. And the earlier issues apparently featured engravings of prominent men facing the title page, and they were there for aesthetic reasons.
Yes. They were pinup boys.
They were pinup boys,
Yes.
and so they had fashion and gossip and whatnot, but they also had fiction and poetry, And there's an article that is given as an example called The Science of Glovology, as in gloves. And I'm like, I want to read that article. I need to go
Yes,
Google it
yeah.
later. Um,
So you're writing
so
the science of robotology
the
in that book,
science of
yeah?
robotology. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, also maybe moonlighted with the science of glovology.
Yes,
It might have been
probably
an
is.
early work.
Yeah. Um,
And so Olivia has written, she's written a few other things, but she's written most extensively on robotics and on the philosophy and the ethics of the robotic laws, and has done, like I know that true crime is a little bit icky squicky
yeah.
now, but like I'm talking about like
Oh yeah.
she probably wrote a breakdown a breakdown of like anytime a robot was like was involved in a crime, like
Yes.
how it may have been accomplished,
Mhm.
or how perhaps the rules may have been perverted, if there was a trial of somebody that made robots maybe that violated or weren't imprinted with the laws. They there was a retrospective on that. She got in a very spirited back and forth article war with one of the other authors
Mhm.
regarding whether it was ethical to actually include the third law, or whether that was a restriction that was unnecessary to the robots.
Uh-huh.
And so like she's been very involved in the
Yeah.
whole thing, and elbows deep in writing about that kind of thing.
And that is one of the reasons why you're here. And in the midst of sort of thinking all of that to yourself, I suspect it occurs to Miss Olivia Throckmorton that one of the very first pinups in the magazine that you are talking about is actually, and we're not making this up, is actually Lady Ada's dad, Lord Byron.
Lord Byron,
The Lord Byron, yes.
dreamboat extraordinaire.
Yes, addressed to the 12s, there for aesthetic purposes. Uh, so,
He was dreamy.
apparently, the Lord Byron, yes.
That one.
Yes. I'm gonna be doing asides all night. Uh, Ada's mother took Ada when when they left Lord Byron, and that was against the law. The father automatically got possession, and he chose not to make any effort whatsoever to confront her to get her back. So yeah, uh, she comes from good stock, does Our Lady. But
I don't
at
know how I knew that, but I had known that. And thank you for reminding me.
uh, um,
Um,
yeah,
so she's going to introduce herself. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I'm so grateful that you're a fan of my work. Grateful for the invitation. Thank you so much. It's an absolute delight and a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
and as you're reaching over to make it was a handshake. This is a good question because um, this would be two ladies meeting in a Victorian world. How would but this these are not like this isn't a formal location. She's given you the right to call her Ada when you're in private, and it's only Chucky baby over here in the corner. Is it a handshake? Is it
She's kind of moving to like kind of clasp her hands,
yeah,
or at least
okay,
extending
yeah,
her hands to allow them to be clasped.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
I like that. Just a non-traditional handshake substitute, right?
Well,
Is that fair?
I feel like it's very common, like before, like you can't really hug with a corset
No.
very well. I don't know if you've ever, but it's like clonk clonk clonk. If you've ever been in a stage corset. So a lot of the so I feel like a lot of the physical affection was like sort of hands like clasping, or like holding the upper arms, or like you know, that kind of thing. So she's probably reaching out to like clasp hands in greeting.
It, just as you're about to do that, you hear Charles over in the corner blurt out, "I remember the woman from the dirty magazine. That's the one. That's the one." And
Beg your
Lady
pardon?
Lady Ada's shoulders come up like that, and one eye closes in spite of herself, and she turns to him and says with the infinite patience of someone who has seen this a million times, "Don't you have an appointment with the chief constable about something?" And he, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yes." And he grabs the decanter again and heads
Decanter
out
and the
of the room.
glass.
Yeah. And as the door
Or grabs
closes,
the decanter and forgets the glass. Didn't need it.
uh, she turns to look at you, and she's got. I mean, this is late. You know, this is a lady of the land, and she's got a look on her face, and she actually says, "I'd apologize, but it wasn't me. As you can see, if this mystery is to be solved, then it's going to be you and I that solve it. Charles can be used to get us access, and he'll be his charming old-fashioned self. Let me bring you up to speed. Have you ever heard of a stasis twin?" And I'll give you a roll
Stasis
for it.
twin?
This is history of rich people. If this was a skill, what is your from 0 to 6?
I
How
think
good are you at history of rich people?
I think kind of middling. Like I
Okay,
do work with a gossip magazine, or at
sure.
least a magazine that publishes gossip. So like may have heard an inkling. I say like a two, maybe two,
Yeah.
three.
Let's go with a 3. So
Okay.
roll a d12 and add 3.
Okay. Oh, 14.
Oh crap. Okay.
Yeah,
You have
I think I'll keep her.
it was only a rule. It was only a rumor you thought, but this is someone who would know. A stasis twin is essentially a forced clone of you. They're brought into the world using strange and mysterious ways, but they are then allowed to grow to the about the age of 20, but they're kept mentally blank. Meanwhile, the person that they are a clone of about once a week goes in and uses one of the difference engines, sorry, an analytic engine, the one that the more complicated one that she's designed, to record themselves basically, and put a copy of themselves into that machine. If and when the time comes, and the person ceases to be, the computer, the analytic engine, then dumps the information into the stasis twin. That process causes them to become self aware. They regain everything that they knew before, but a new body.
I think I'm kind of wigged out by that.
Mm-hmm. It's like because you would have known it as a rumor, but here is somebody just said, the lady, the person who makes the computer that makes it possible just said this happens.
And are they a biological thing or are they a mechanical thing?
Yes, I thought about it for a long, long time, and this only works if they are a biological thing. Because, and I'm glad. Thank you for bringing it up. She says at one point during, if she's helping you with the fine details, and she says, obviously we had to make them human for legal purposes.
Oh, what legal purposes?
Well, they're going to be us. In fact, and she kind of looks down for a second, looks back up. I already am.
Oh,
I died 25 years ago.
you hardly look at.
She looks about 45 because she's gone into a 20-year-old body after, yeah, yeah. So instead of looking, if you add it all up, she's almost 70, but she
Right.
only looks about 50.
You look you don't look it at all, if I may say.
Well, thank you, but you can see why it would be so important. It was one of those that was stolen, not mine. but a friend of mine. It's a blank. We honestly don't know what would happen if they found a way to. Could you put someone else in it? What would that mean? They'd have your fingerprints. They'd look like you. They'd sound like you.
They would be like you in every possible way. How did something like that get stolen? Kidna kid stolen? What
Kidnapped.
is the term?
We're going with kidnapped, and the least of the things that we know is that they knew where it was being kept on the estate. They didn't go in and pillage the place. They went right to it.
Oh. Oh. That's disturbing. If I may ask who the original is?
My friend Mary Elizabeth Barber. And
I see.
you don't even need to roll this. You would recognize this, given what you do for a living. They were a botanist, ornithologist, entomologist, poet, and painter, published in the Royal Entomological Society and Royal Botanical Gardens, who inspired Charles Darwin no less to say, I don't see why women should not belong to any society they are qualified for. She lives just south of the city.
Well, that's certainly an impressive person to kidnap.
Shall we go and meet her? The original, I mean. They took the
Yes.
stasis twin. Yes.
Yes, please.
Um, we'll take Jenny. She sort of grins, and and suddenly for all the royal and the power and everything, there's a grin, and she turns and all but runs out of the room. She's kind of like almost like she's forgotten you're there. Wherever she's going, Jenny has made her very, very happy.
I don't know if Jenny is a car or a pet or a person,
Yeah.
but I'm very invested now. I'm gonna like kind of, oh, all right. And this is all just sort of like so much
Yes.
that, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna follow.
Yep.
Just
And
like stare for a moment and then,
oh,
oh, wait for me.
and then the scene through the unnecessarily complicated building, up and down stairways and down hallways of the two dresses, just woof, 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 all the way.
Clatter of shoes.
Oh yes, all the way through the house, out the back, through the kitchen, and to the garages, because one of your guesses was right. As you uh, come out the back door into the yard, you see Lady Ada standing in front of a small two-seater steam-powered gurney. It looks like a bathtub with two seats in it, a bunch of complicated controls, and four bicycle wheels, and a noisy little poppy bangy steamy thing in the back. And she's
Oh,
already skirts and all just hoinking herself over the side of it into what is
yep.
obviously the driver's seat.
Scooping the skirts and hopping
Yeah,
on.
yeah. She looks at you and she says, "You'll want to hold the fronts down." As she tucks hers underneath the wheel, sort of
Thank you.
squeezes with her knees and pulls a lever, and poof, big cloud of steam. Probably not all necessary. You can see out of the corner of your eyes. You watch her. She's having so much fun, and the house robots are just shaking. They want to stop her. She's doing something very, very dangerous, but she has ordered them to stay. So ordering them, then rule number one, through inaction, allowing them to come to harm, has been
Hmm.
overruled because it's not necessarily going to be harmful.
Yeah.
But you can see them wanting to. But too little, too late, and whoosh down the ornate white gravel driveway and into the darkness of London you go.
Miss Olivia Throckmorton is a very proper young woman,
Mm-hmm.
middle-aged woman,
Is
but she is not above squealing for the first mile.
especially through London, right? Because London's designed for horses still. It's and the
She's
only other
not
thing
above
out
just
there,
like
yeah, yeah. The only other thing out there are these huge behemoth show off money things like Babbage's stuff, right? That's Babbage, and this is Lady Lovelace, right? And past like people, the few humans you see, because she just about runs them down. The robots, I mean, they have to, they're forced to dive out of the way because through inaction they would cause harm if she hits them. So they have to jump. She thinks, you can tell she thinks she's a great driver, but it's 99% robots, and they will not let her hit them. So she may or may not be. I'm not judging. I'm just saying the robots are leaping for cover.
I mean, she's probably a wonderful driver.
Yes, probably one of only a few. Certainly one of the
Hmm.
few female drivers that's driving, especially a little two-seater thing like this. Right, this looks
Hmm.
like a child's toy. It's a bathtub with two ladies and it's squeaking driving through London.
Squealing the whole way.
Yes, and vroom, you come out in a dusty road on an old Roman highway, perfectly straight, built up so that you can be lit in the moonlight for this moment. This little tiny car with its suspension just jiggling and wiggling and giggling along, just and then you just hear because it's on a steam powered car. Right? You drive into the darkness for a long time, even at the outrageous speeds of this vehicle, probably 40 miles an hour or more in a bathtub. That's terrifyingly fast,
That's kind of
right?
terrifying.
It still
Like,
takes over 2 hours. There's a couple corners that you're pretty sure she didn't see coming, and maybe this thing should have lights, but
too late now.
she can drive. It
Hanging on tight.
turns out she can drive. Yeah, your fingers are gonna be sore when you get where you're going because seatbelts would also be a good idea, but they're not here yet either. And you screech to a stop in the gravel, and you look back and you just see the two big troughs because she slid it in there really, really nice. And then when she gets where you're going, she reaches down and pulls a lever she hasn't hit till now, and from behind you, it just goes, and it releases all the steam out of the pressure thing. And you guys, just for a second, are sitting in the steam in the darkness, and it very slowly drifts away, revealing the two of you sitting
The bathtub,
in a bathtub at the end
fully
of a drive
clothed.
at the end of a driveway. Yeah.
Um, does she have like the aviator's hat on with the goggles?
Yep. Yes, because you said it. Yes. Yep.
I'm just because I'm totally picturing her like, well, I couldn't see the first couple times I
Yeah.
drove it, but
Yes. Oh yes.
now I can.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and Olivia is out of breath. But she's just like, that was the most exhilarating thing I've ever felt in my life.
uh, and she just looks at you and grins and makes one of those big looking around things and goes, "Stick around." And she boils out of the bathtub, and then straightens her skirts, and suddenly it's Lady Lovelace there. Shall we? And she points up the driveway,
Yeah, absolutely.
and she holds out an elbow.
She's gonna link elbows with her,
Yeah,
of course.
yes. And in the dark, you walk under an arch of trees from not here. This every other estate that you've blown by at high speed up until now has looked exactly the same. You didn't need to see it because they all look the same. Overly built up, ornate gardens, lots of robot staff making impossible things look pretty, right? This one looks like somebody dropped a jungle here and then dropped a forest on top of it and then dropped a desert in the corner over there. It is, you can see and hear piping, steam and water, making things that shouldn't grow here grow here.
Oh my word, is that a cactus? It's so
It's
tall.
everything in this section is lush, verdant, and on the horizon you see a row of various cactuses. It takes you a second to see they've been shaped into the that picture of the development of humans from the monkey up through the Neanderthal and the yeah, that's the horizon. Um, and but you tropical flowers. You come around a corner, pine trees. It's just life everywhere, and it like I said, it's just a tunnel up the driveway. and you finally get to a small opening where the driveway goes in a circle so you could take a cart with horses around in the oldie days of 20 years before this. Um, and even that's almost completely overgrown, but you can look in the house, and instead of a mansion, it's a mansion made out of glass, but not in a show-offy way, in a greenhouse way. The whole inside of this Victorian mansion is glass.
I bet it's very warm.
Oh yes, yeah. And Lady Lovelace, as you say or think that, as she gets there, she kind of pulls her hair back and she says, "This is one of the great reasons I love these hats." And she just shoves all of her hair up underneath her fancy hat and kind of sit down on her head.
Uh, Miss Olivia does not have one of those hats, and she's probably about to regret it because, oh my word, that's going to be so warm. It's going to
Um,
be even at night.
Ada sees you kind of at a loss, and uh, goes into the drawer of holding, and
Hmm.
foomp, pulls out a lovely silk scarf,
Oh, I love it. Oh, thank you
and
so
just
much.
hands it to you all. It's, of course, it's real silk and a fancy pattern from the Far East. I think we're
Embroidered.
still calling it at this point in history on it. Yeah. Uh,
She'll tie up her hair and hopefully keep herself a little bit cool. She's gonna pull out her fan and snap it open already and
yes. Yeah.
just
So as you open the door, as you surmised, it's hotter inside than it is out here.
hmm.
And you step in, it's like going to the botanical gardens, right? It's like, oh, it's hot and sticky in here, but it's going to be pretty. And oh my God, is it ever? You see insects, birds, little lizards, little mammals with big eyes, and then a little woman with big eyes in a simple worker's frock with a kerchief that's very plain compared to yours on her head. She kind of smiles at you through little round misted glasses. She wipes her hands very ineffectually on a rag. They're like the dirt under the nails every which way,
Yeah.
and approaches. And she doesn't even try to shake hands. She just keeps ineffectually trying to clean her hands. And she looks, "Oh, Ada dear, thank you so much for coming. And this must be the expert you promised. Hello, I'm Mary Elizabeth.
It is such a delight to meet you. I'm Olivia Throckmorton at your service.
Do you
And
like
once again, just starstruck and just kind of like, I love this woman.
do you like Lepidoptera, my dear? Because you've got one just here on the scarf
Oh,
you're wearing. Yeah.
uh, I, I, I don't remember that sounds super familiar.
It's butterflies and moths.
Um, she's like, oh yes, I do. I think she's gonna like
Yeah,
glance at it and be like, yeah, I do actually. Yes, I do.
and it climbs on your finger almost like it's tame. Like she's in here all the time, right? And as you bring it down,
Oh, I thought you meant there was one embroidered on the
no,
scarf.
no, no. As
There's
you
an
reach,
actual
yes. So
butterfly.
when your hand comes back, there's a monarch butterfly sitting on your finger. You just flew in on Hephaestus this morning, and now you've got this butterfly sitting on your finger.
And I'm just gonna. I've never seen one this close before.
And it
Just
that
like
every time you move it, it does the little butterfly steadying itself thing.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to hold very still once I figure out that it has to study itself.
Yeah.
Just like move my head instead.
And when she sees you do that, Mary reaches over and grabs a branch and just bends it down on top of your finger. And the butterfly crawls up underneath the branch. And she just very slowly puts it back up. And you can't see it hidden in the foliage. She says, I've got hundreds of them. Somewhere around here, there's some blue and purple ones. But we should probably save that for later, yes?
Probably.
You turn around and Ada is just grinning like an idiot again, and she's just covered in butterflies and moths. And you see Mary turn to her and say, "Did you spray yourself with the food, dear?" And Lady Ada just they're on her nose and in her hair and just
I don't know why you would think so. What makes you say that?
And she kind of shakes herself and they fly away. She's, oh, yes, we're taking it very serious. I have a hard time being serious in your house, dear. And Mary Elizabeth looks at her and says, that's okay, I do it for us both. But you'll probably hear about the twins, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, they were hidden just over here, and she takes you to an indoor courtyard. So this is in the mansion, in the house. There's a courtyard, but it's indoor. It's glassed over too. And in it, there's this big stump. Yeah, you look like you want to ask me a question.
Uh as they're walking along, Olivia's going to whisper to Ada, did she say twins plural?
The twins pod, dear. The apostrophe S.
Oh. Oh. But we're
They,
okay.
Well, I should have mentioned that before, actually. Once they're out of the pod, they've got and she kind of grins again and says, a best before date. Uh, they'll only last a few days.
Ah, naturally.
And it happened yesterday, so the rules of narrativium saying you have about 24 hours. As
Okay.
always. Yeah. She leads you into the room, and there's a stump, a very convincing stump. Except that when she goes over and puts her hand on one of the knots on it and gives it a twist, it opens up and you see a pfft, and you hear the hiss and the steam and stuff lift off. And
Oh, how
inside
clever.
there's like a plastic sleeping bag in the shape of a human. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like it looks like a mummy, like a plastic, not plastic, mother of pearl mummy in there that's open. There's obviously a body missing. And Mary says, "As you can see, they got in. The only until just now, nobody but me, as far as I know, knew how to get in here. I only did it in front of the two of you because they're gone."
Oh, how did it get built?
Oh, Isambard Kingdom Brunel, you've heard of him? And there's kind of a grin. Have you heard of it? Like the
No.
very famous engineer of the time. He
No.
did the biggest steamboat. He built bridges. He was always pushing limits. Not always good. Some of it broke. Some of it fell in the water and didn't come up again. But he
Mm-hmm.
was, yeah, famous and rich. But he designed and built this house. But he's
Oh,
gone now.
all right then.
The only other thing is that, and she points to nearby. There's a little patch of flowers, and they're
Huh.
dead.
Um, do they look withered or wilted or stepped on
You,
or
you would, in your scientific capacity as glove specialist and robot specialist and person who knows what a flower is, where are you on a 0 to 6 scale for knowledge of dead flowers?
knowledge of dead flowers?
Actually, I'll give you science. I'll give you science in general. Actually,
Yeah, I think that probably keeping flowers was a very standard like pastime
Mhm.
of the time and whatnot. So I think she's actually pretty good at that. I think
Yeah,
I'd put her at like a 4.
perfect. So give me a +4
Okay.
with your D12 of magic.
A 12.
A 12. Wow. Okay. Perfect. You've seen flowers before. These flowers are still on the ground. They're not like in a pot, right? They're not like a florist, but they are very much dead, and they died from one side to the other. Something was exposed to them on this side, and they died from this side to that side. And you look a little closer, and on the side where it started, you can see little rusted iron pellets in the
Hmm.
soil.
I'm going to take out my looking glass
Yep.
and look closer.
And Lady Ada is just sort of looking over at you and smiling at Mary in the background and kind of
Covered in butterflies again.
waving off the butterflies because the gag's getting old, right? Yeah. And you're down on on your knees in your dress,
Uh,
reading,
yeah,
doing
yes, yes.
the full Sherlock. I love it.
completely forgotten about the dress
Yep.
because, the what is that?
You get down and you start to look. You see these little iron pellets that are rusted look a lot like some partially melted fertilizer pellets. They're the same size and the same color. Somebody made this look like fertilizer. And because you
I
rolled
see.
so well with the 12, you said you got your magnifying glass out too, so that gives you that works. You get right in there and look at one of these little pellets, and right in the center there's a little cavity. It's rusted
Mhm.
down to the cavity, and there was something inside this that's gone now.
Hmm.
Behind you, you hear tick 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 tick.
I look behind me.
Lady Ada has a little device in her hand. It's like a box with a handle on it, and
Uh-huh.
she's holding it over your shoulder, pointing it at the pellet, and the little meter on it's doing this
Oh, well,
and
what is
ticking,
that?
and then she points it at the ground away from where there's any of the pellets, and there's nothing. She goes back to the one in your hand, tick tick tick
Tick,
tick
tick, tick.
tick, back to the around the flowers, and yeah, there's this little patch where these little iron balls are, and they all beat. She says, "Oh, that's radiation, dear.
Oh,
It'll kill the shit out of flowers if you don't mind me saying so. Faster than me, and I'm terrible with flowers."
um, I look up.
Mhm.
Is there anything where they could have dropped down?
Oh, I see.
Up above?
Yeah, give me a roll. I
Uh,
like this. Let's do lots of rolls. This is investigating. This is going to be your and put some time into this because this is when this is the moment when you realize you're a detective now, right? You came here as a reporter. You didn't, I don't know, maybe you were expecting a story about a kidnapping, maybe?
uh-huh.
You probably weren't expecting to solve it. So
No.
your generic sort of detectivating skill. What is your innate?
Well, I'm very nosy,
Yes.
but I'm also somewhat new at the detectiving.
Yep.
Um, which seems like it would cancel each other out, maybe? Do I want to maybe go with a three?
A three. Yeah. Let's do a three for now, and
Okay.
then if yeah, and then the more you've already succeeded twice. If you keep succeeding, maybe that can go up
I'll
because
learn
we're
on the
getting good
job.
at this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So give me
Okay.
D12 plus three.
11.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm keeping this die.
You're starting to
I'm the
really
keeper.
feel good about this. You look up and there's like no, they didn't Ocean's 11 in here from above. Uh, but when you look back down, what you see is this plant, this little cluster of flowers, is the only plant in this region. Like I said, it's all kind of weird plants everywhere. It's the only
Hmm.
plants in this area that got this kind of fertilizer.
Hmm.
But as you look around, you can see little signs that are out that say don't disturb the soil fertilized on, and there's a date of the day that this all happened.
Hmm.
And where that fertilizer has run down from another flower bed onto this one is
Hmm.
where the rust happened.
So let's go look at that other fertilizer
Mm-hmm.
and the other
And
flower bed and take my looking glass and
yeah,
like nose like half an inch from the ground,
yep.
following it up to the other flower bed.
Give me one more roll, and if you do well again with the plus three, we're gonna make this a plus four because you're getting good at this.
uh, I got an 8. I
Eight,
rolled a 5, so it's an 8.
an eight. Okay. It's enough with what Mary adds because you start looking at the other fertilizer, and Mary comes up and says, "That stuff smelled a little bit off. I don't exactly know what it was, and the plants were doing great, but it didn't smell like the regular batches I got."
Where did it come from?
The Linnaean Society, where I'm currently working, and that is a scientific society, which there was a lot of in the day. They got together and had meetings and presented papers and peer reviewed their stuff. and they did historically allow women. These people, if I, they are a member of the Linnean Society, Linnean. This person actually
Yeah.
was. So yeah,
After Linnaeus, right?
yes, yeah.
Carl Linnaeus,
And
yeah.
this is the year 1788 is the year that this started. The Linnean Society. She is one of the founding members of it, and she's just told you that she got it. You've had four successes so far. Uh, I think you and Lady Ada maybe Lady turns to you and says, "So that one's different, and that one's only there." And she kind of points to where they come together.
Hmm.
She goes, "Oh shit! It was timing." She's she says, I it's not three laws, but I do tell you, I do know my robots. They can't harm intentionally, but if one put that stuff on those flowers, and then 3 hours later another one came by
Another
and
one.
did those flowers, and it ran down the hill, neither of them did anything which put anyone at risk.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing put at risk, and she turns around and points into the empty sarcophagus, was the twin.
Well, the twin is still human by by the laws.
And this is when Mary pipes up and says, "Oh yes, one of my robots is missing too.
I see. What kind of robot?
Gardner." There's sort of
Hmm.
like, what else would I have? You know,
Hmm. How long has the robot been missing?
same time as the. Oh, you see, this is why we thought they were connected. I should have mentioned that when you came in, though. I understand. I should have led with that.
Well, no, I mean, you had no way of knowing.
But that, and she points at the what you realize now was a very short-lived gamma burst that it was revealed when when a catalyst and iron mixed, causing the iron to rust faster than it normally would have, releasing the gamma radiation, which, as uh, Lady Ada points out, would have been enough to motivate a robot who knew better to save the twin.
Mm-hmm.
But where did they take them?
So they didn't need to learn how to get in at all. How do you get out? How do the robots get out?
You mean, how did they leave the estate?
No, well, so we're in like a little chamber, right? That you can
Yep,
only get to by the
yep,
magic stump.
yep.
Um,
Oh no, no. The magic stump is, it's only sort of just bigger than human size. It's just big
uh-huh.
enough to have the sarcophagus in it.
Okay.
It's not a separate
So,
room.
oh, okay. So
So you're in
it's
the
just a
you're
box
yeah, you're in the courthouse, or sorry, the courtyard, and then in the
with the
middle of
stump.
that there's
Oh,
like
okay.
this ancient stump, and it actually opens up, and it's
Okay. I was
yeah.
picturing that we were all crouched inside of a stump
No,
and
okay, I got you.
exploring around this
Oh
sarcophagus
well,
in the
thank
middle.
you very much for asking then, because yeah, this not quite. So yeah,
Okay. Certainly. So, well, if you were in danger and one of your robots saved you, where would they go?
to me,
To you.
and this one didn't.
Were you here yesterday?
I was, and she kind of here, but as you can see, and she takes two steps, and you can't see her. That doesn't really mean much, and she steps back up from behind the plant and can see you again.
Well, do they have a backup? Do they have a meeting spot? An emergency?
Well,
Is there a pharmacy No, that's not the word I'm looking for. Is there a an infirmary type, a place where you would go to apply bandages to a burn or something
Uh,
on your estate or
Lady
nearby?
Lady Ada says that would be a hospital, but we'd have been someone would have been told if a robot burst
Yes.
into a hospital with a twin. Um,
I'm
and
talking about minor things like I keep my first aid kit in my kitchen where I'm most likely to get
ah
burned.
I see. She said we can check. I'll have to check with the head robot to see where that sort of thing is kept. Whenever I hurt myself, one of them just shows up with it. But and she hits a little clicker on her belt, and click, 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 and a robot starts to move forward, and she's going to ask. Uh, Lady Ada takes this opportunity to lean into you and said, I took the liberty of looking at the location of her robot, and it hasn't got one.
The location of her robot
As long
that
as I
is
know a
missing?
serial number, I can at least get a direction.
Oh,
Hers is shut off, except they don't shut off.
is there anything that would block you from that?
Um,
Does it suffer any kind of
not
interference, like radio?
not that I know of, but you, with your knowledge of the laws, the third law
Mm.
tells you that, given what the second law is, it is possible to order a robot to self-destruct.
Hmm. And they can take orders from anyone,
Any human
basically.
being, yeah. Second one says any order from any human being, as long as it doesn't injure or through inaction cause injury to another, because that's the first law, right?
Right.
So
Um,
anybody could have talked to that robot and told them X is a safe place. Take this twin there, and they would have done so. And if they had then been ordered to disassemble themselves, you would have no way of finding unless you find the disassembled robot.
well,
Luckily for you, this is only the first crime scene.
luckily for me, yeah, we're about to check out the Linnaeus Society after
Yep.
we check out the yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Okay.
I mean, I assume we're not going to find anything in her infirmary. Unfortunately,
Nope.
no
Nope.
twin
No twin
recuperating
sitting
on.
there having a coffee with somebody else's mind in them. No. No.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fun if that were the
No.
case.
Well, not yet anyway. But
Not yet.
you that means another bathtub ride.
Ooh,
It takes a little while to get the bathtub up to steam. So you've got a little while to sort of stand out there in the darkness, and the sun is coming up this time as you start to head back into London.
I'm definitely taking a couple of the little rusted out pellets
Yeah.
and putting them in a pocket or
Yep.
something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it's irradiated, but radiation is good for you.
Oh,
So,
it's I wanted to make that clear. It's the radiation is gone. It was
ah,
very
it's
it
residual.
radiated. It is and it's all gone. The half life was zero, so it just went and it was gone. It was just enough to cause a threat because otherwise the robots would not have let any of you into that room if it was still radioactive.
Well, and also everyone knows that radiation is good for you.
Yes, up
So
to a certain extent. Yes,
it was
excellent for
it
your
was good for
skin.
you.
Sloughs right
Yeah,
off. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
You could drink yourself some Radithor
yeah,
water.
yeah. So on your way back to London, uh, Lady Ada is not driving quite as quickly. You look over; she's sort of thinking. You can tell, and in fact, she's going slow enough that you can actually talk as you go. And she turns to you after a bit of thinking and says, "What kind of a person would do that?"
What kind of a person? Well, there's a few reasons. There could be theft or malice, but either they want to impersonate the lady, or they want to take away her options if she were, you know.
It wouldn't take much to destroy someone's reputation if you had their body, now would it?
No.
One drunken night on
Or
the tiles and reputation
or
ruined.
or rely on their expertise, their known expertise, their reputation. And
Except,
maybe,
except that they won't have that. Whoever takes the twin doesn't get the memories.
but
But we
they
still
have,
haven't figured out how they're lighting them up instead.
I mean, they would have the reputation, so if they needed to get into some place particularly exclusive, they would just need to flash their face. They wouldn't need any
Yes,
memories.
yes. But you certainly couldn't fool family. At least
No,
not for long.
but a museum maybe, or a bank.
Or a bank, yes.
A bank. She should warn her banker.
But that would mean admitting that this is even possible. We don't want to stir up the locals. She manages to make it like a capital L in a fancy script, locals.
Well, she could just tell her banker that she would like to freeze freeze her activities for some time, for a little bit of time.
We'll have to come up with something. Maybe she'll stay at home and pretend she's ill or something. I guess she could give me power of attorney. That would work. And you start like trying to work out these little details
Mm-hmm.
as you make your way back into London. When you pull up to the very first intersection in London and have to stop because there's one of these train-like behemoths of, House whatever, House Wellington thing going by that takes 20 minutes to go by because it's not only big and ugly, it's also slow and poorly built. It's puttering by, and you actually have to stop. And you look over, and there's a paper boy, an urchin with the
Oh,
capital U, right on the street corner with his little hat and his filthy cheeks that he's clearly done himself to make himself look more pathetic. And
yeah.
he's holding up the paper, and you can see the headlines on it as he yells out, 27-ton generator stolen. Edison's 125 horsepower of direct current dangerous in the wrong hands. Enough to power 3,000 of Edison's incandescent bulbs. And it's gone, I tell you, gone. And people are ignoring him, like, because he's, this is every day. This happens all the time. Not this stuff, but like urchins trying to sell papers. But you can
Hmm.
see it. Everything he says is on that sheet. It's all true.
Well, that's alarming. I'm gonna buy a paper
Yeah.
because
He, he looks, as you pull up and stop, you look at him and it says right in the corner 2 shillings. And he
hmm,
looks at you and he says, 5 shillings, lady.
I am in a bathtub with wheels. I'm gonna give him the 5 shillings, man.
He takes it and hands you one, and he kind of, I can't do this, and he hands you another one, and he says, thanks for the tip, lady. And he steps
Oh
back
no.
and he starts screaming, 2 ladies in a bathtub having an adventure in downtown London. Read all about it. And it's not on the paper, but that's the story he's trying to sell now.
If this were Discworld, it would reshape into that.
I'm having a really hard time.
I
That's next
know.
week.
I
I want to
know.
keep this light, but yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of glance through and then flip to page 6 because that's how that always goes.
Yep.
Like you read down to the fold and then you have to flip to page
Yep.
6. And kind of read about it and excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's all
So
good.
what is it that is a giant battery?
At the Holborn Viaduct, otherwise known as the Edison Electric Light Station, really existed, really was the world's first coal-powered station producing electricity for public use. was in London. It was operated for 6 years up at this point, and now it's dark and silent for the first time in all of those days. As you look into the distance and see it on the horizon, there's no smoke coming out of it except for a small fire. There's no, the chimneys are empty. Oh, thank you for the ban. There's a huge. You can see that part of the roof has caved in on itself, and at the moment, as you look over, it's been enough hours that the services are leaving. The fire department and the police have determined that all that can be done, and they're leaving the collapsed building.
But it was stolen and not just sabotaged, is what I'm.
Yes, yeah. You keep reading that's page one, and then you flip to below the banner,
Mhm.
and it adds that because I mean they used to put out 6 7 papers a day, but it
Right.
tells you that this only happened sort of 3 or 4 hours ago. The floor collapsed. At first they thought it was a collapse. The floor collapsed, and in the process, the roof collapsed on top of where the floor used to be. It was only when they went in to save the people that they realized that the floor hadn't really collapsed. Well, it kind of had, but the giant generator, the size of a city, half a city block, went through the floor and is now not in a hole underneath that, but missing.
I'm picturing the Bugs Bunny like with the saw like in a
Yep,
circle through the
almost. Yep,
floor.
yep,
Okay. Well, let's check out the Linnaeus Society since we're already headed there, and
yep,
then we can
yep,
possibly check out Edison. I mean, it may be unrelated, but it
yep.
seems like it might be related.
As lady Lady Ada nods at you and through the city again. Much weeing and flapping of scarves and hats in the wind. She lets her hair back out from under the hat just to have the whole thing. You guys invent the
There's a little
glasses and
butterfly
yeah,
clinging like
one little
tenaciously.
yeah. As you scream across the city of London. Um, as you come around the last corner to the building that houses the Linnaean Society, it's on fire.
Good grief. Well, that sucks.
It turns out that that's where the cackling. It's his turn to be listening to you playing instead of the other way around. I love it. But yes, you as you come around the corner, you see the building completely engulfed in flames.
Well, that's unfortunate. Were there very many people harmed?
Um, you the fire department and whatnot that were over where the floor fell out are all coming this way, and as they get here, you see one guard stumble out, night watchman stumble out, and you ask him that because I love that scene, like he's all covered in smoke and stuff, stumbling out. And, how many people were in there? He's, just me, miss. Oh,
What
it was a holiday and all.
what happened? She's going to like bring him to sit down. Would you like some water?
Yeah,
Does anybody have any tea?
he plunks down on the curb. It's London, so of course a little old lady shows up with a tea for him in a little tin
Little
cup.
sandwich.
Yeah, and a little sandwich with the cucumber sandwich with the crust cut off because you gotta have some class. I mean, it's London, right? But oh yes, and of course because it is London, the person that does this, because I said person, is even though they brought you the sandwich and the little tea, is a multi-millionaire of some great power and worth. You don't
This is
recognize
just their
them.
hobby.
They just saw somebody outside that needed a tea, and they're British above all, so they brought you a bloody tea. They brought you one too, um,
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you.
and then they turn around and go back into their mansion. Uh, but he looks up at you and he says, "I was just doing my rounds, just as usual, and the building started to sort of hum, and then it louder and louder, and then the whole side of it came down, and when the pillars broke, fire came out. There's no fire in the pillars. Somebody did that.
Do you think they vibrated it down?
You
They
can
vibrated it to death.
The sun is coming up now. You can see they're spraying water on it as it sort of blows the fire away. You can see the marks on the side of the building where explosives were set. They
Oh.
imploded part of this building,
Hmm.
and part of the explosions were unnecessary pyrotechnics. They lit this place on fire on purpose. And they did it in a very engineering, architecture kind of way.
Mm. Let's go look at the exploding marks. Let's see if we can figure out what kind of explosive it was
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
and
Okay, perfect. Give me
the
a roll.
mechanism.
Yeah. Give me a
Uh,
roll. This time you're getting a +4. There's no
I,
question about it. You haven't
I
missed yet, so you got to get a +4 at least.
okay.
The lady trusts you.
15. Wait,
15.
no. +4, so 13. I
13.
added
Okay.
the wrong way.
That's okay. Um, oh shit. What was the roll for? What were you doing?
Looking at the explodey bits.
Right, right.
The
You find
mechanisms.
yeah, you find you wouldn't have unless you'd rolled like that well. You find little bits of paper like the packaging that
Hmm.
the explosives were in, and it says on it Brunel Engineering.
I heard that name already.
Brunel designed the house
That's right.
and knows that, so they would know where the stump is. They
Yeah.
they tried to. It looks like because everything came from this place and now they're burning this place down. They're trying to make this place look guilty. They're trying to make it look like a scapegoat.
Mm.
But the name Brunel has come up twice now. Like Dad,
Yeah.
Isambard's kingdom is dead, but he's got one of his sons.
I was gonna say there are
It,
probably children,
one of his sons,
family.
the second oldest, is a very successful engineer in his own right, and in fact, one of the projects that he's involved in as at this time is taking down one of his dad's bridges. And as part of that, to show respect to him, they kept the chains of the bridge and built those in as a part of another new bridge.
That's really
So that
cool.
even to this day, there's parts of Isambard
The
Kingdom Brunel's
original.
bridge in another bridge, even though
Yeah.
they're not load bearing anymore. The older son is nobody's heard of him. Nobody's. He's just the he's an aristocrat's kid, so he doesn't have to do anything.
Let's go look at the Edison building and see if there's any similarities between the cave-in, the mechanism for the cave-in,
Yeah,
and the mechanism for the fire. After making sure the
perfect.
poor man has more
Yes.
tea.
As you turn around to check the poor man in his tea, Lady Ada has got that butterfly to finally let go of the side of the bathtub, and has put it on the tip of the man's hat here
Oh.
on the bottom, and so it's kind of hanging there doing, and he's just totally distracted from the fact that his factory is burning down across the street.
Well, hopefully the fire brigade can take care of that.
Yeah, they'll fix the problem
They
at the end of
will.
the episode because it's like The Simpsons, and every week everything starts the same as it was before. But yeah, but yes. So you hop back in the bathtub of infinite doom and squeal and
Of
huzzah.
infinite fun.
Yes, at some point it's got one of those whirly gig things, the spinny, the sparkly
Mhm.
spinny thing on a stick.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like
it
a
is.
pinwheel.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yes, it's got a pinwheel somehow along the way. She
There's a random slide whistle on one side
yeah
for like letting people
yeah
know she's coming.
yeah. She's trying to teach you to drive and drive at the same time. It's somehow she just refuses to take any of this too seriously.
It's
This is just
exhilarating.
you see, her whole life is just one big adventure, right? It's just everything's just something new. It's just something different.
Hmm.
So you skid to a stop outside the wreckage of the Edison power plant, and its sun's come up now. There's little whiffs of smoke and dust here and there. Nothing left though, except for some robots making sure that the streets are safe, moving bricks and stuff, and making sure that walls aren't going to fall over. But as you come to a stop, one of them, dressed in the city security, uh, uniform, which is really weird when you think about it because it's security, but it's still a robot, so it still has to follow the three laws. So it has zero authority or ability to do anything about it other than the fact it's wearing a jacket that says security. And it comes up to you and bows deeply and says, I presume you're here to see the pit.
Yes, I am.
Do you know that no one thought to send a robot down? They went part way and stopped, said it was dangerous. Then they all went away for tea. And he turns around and starts to head back towards the damage.
I'm gonna follow him.
Lady Ada lets the steam out and follows after you. Uh, you guys down into the rubble, into the basement of this old building. And I mean, it's all sort of hanging over you, and you can hear it creaking and groaning, and bits of material still pinging hot in the corner from where it was on fire. But you keep moving down and down and down.
Picking our way through, holding up skirts.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
must say,
yes.
Lady Ada, this is very thrilling. Absolutely wonderful first visit to London. Thank you so much for inviting me.
She grins and laughs and says, I think I've got room in one of the guest houses. You've got to stay. This is tremendous. We'll start a business. That's what we'll start a business. What shall we call it? As you're thumping through the rubble looking for this. Uh,
The ruins of some person's life. We're
yeah,
just like,
yeah,
we'll start a venture.
yeah. Oh, she's coming down behind you. You start singing. Will the educated ladies stay to the left? Will the educated ladies down the hill into the basement? You find she stops laughing though as soon as you get down there and you see the hole in the floor because it looks like it's been carved by lasers. It hasn't. There's no lasers. That would be silly.
That would be
But
silly.
it's that sharply cut. And she stops and she says, oh shit, that's a mining bot.
Are they quite large? They are quite large, aren't they?
Large, well armored, designed to have things fall on them and not break, capable of pulping large quantities of dirt. Um,
How are they with carrying things? I mean,
dragging,
other than piles of
yeah,
ore.
dragging tons and tons of ore behind them. Yes, is usually the. She kind of drops down off a rock and looks into this. There's a hole in the rubble. And
Mhm.
she looks down and she says, oh, and making tunnels that just look like that shit. And she steps aside and lets you look in. And down, this is all collapsed rubble from the building. And you see down there, there's like this almost perfect rectangle, but it's got rounded corners like a zoom window screen. Like it's that accurately cut. And it just goes straight off into the, I mean, it's underground, so straight off into the darkness. You can see track marks, like
Mhm.
tank treads, and
Yeah.
drag marks of this huge generator been dragged off into distance. You sort of poke your head up and get your bearings. It's heading straight towards the River Thames, which is only like 100 meters that way.
What would happen if we follow this tunnel? We should just. What if we just follow this tunnel?
Uh, she kind of looks down. She said, I think it bends a little bit down there, but if you think you're keeping me out of this, adventurous ladies, we need a better name. And she heads into the darkness, but she's ahead of you now. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Going to strike a match
Yep.
and hold up a lantern. That
Mm-hmm.
that grab a lantern from the
The wreckage?
room or
Sure.
something. Yeah.
Absolutely, there would be one. You bet. It's an electrical facility. There would be lighting. So yeah, you grab an old school coal lantern and get down there. It's not very bright, but it's enough. You can
Probably like a
see,
backup light. Yeah.
yeah, you can see her ahead of you, sort of illumined by the lantern and heading into the darkness with those weird shadows that go around you when you're heading into down a tunnel. And she stops ahead of you, maybe only 10 or 15 steps, and she goes, oh shit. And you hear, oh shit, 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 shit. It just echoes.
Uh, well, are you all right? My voice probably echoes too.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And she turns back to you over her shoulder and says, um, I forgot the Romans did this sort of thing. Come and look, come and look.
Okay, I'm gonna go
And you
look.
you kind of tootle over and look, and this is a covered river. It is an underground canal. The Romans did this. The rivers kept
Yeah,
moving around while they were trying to build a city, so they built
yeah.
fucking canals, and then hundreds of years later, they were covered over with dirt and roofs, and you've stumbled into one of those. It's actually scroll down to find it. Where is it? Anyway, doesn't matter. Um, Damn it, the Walbrook. There it is. It is. This is a real underground river in London. The Walbrook. I knew I wrote it down. The Romans built the walls, and then over 100 years later, there was the roofs built over it. And you step into that space now. There's a narrow walkway down the side of it that's only one person wide. But you can see that the drag marks go out into what was there was probably a barge here, and then you can see you look down and it's she says from here it can't be more than 50 yards to the river.
How do mining robots do with water? Probably fine.
Yes, they're all but sealed. I suspect it probably put its load on the barge because electrical generators don't like water,
No.
and then probably got in the water itself, towed itself out into the river, and well, we'll see.
Is anyone missing any mining bots, you think?
I would
I mean,
need.
something that large, you would think somebody would notice.
I can't really check from down here, but I can assure you that if we find it and we get its serial number, we'll be able to track it. We'll know where it came from.
Let's go back up.
She looks at you and says, "Up that way, or are we following this?"
Let's go back up to the ruin of the power station
Okay.
and see if they have a record of the serial number.
Ah, okay. Yes, perfect. You get up there, just because, I mean, you're +4 now, and it has been a while. Do a roll as you look through
Okay.
the rubble, as you investigate the rubble. I told you it was all going to be investigation rolls. As
Mm-hmm.
you investigate the rubble, trying to find paperwork.
That's a 16.
16. They just keep getting better. A max 12.
Yeah, I just got a
Yep.
12.
Yep. So you're at +5 now, just for the big final.
Oh,
That's
oh
okay.
God.
But yes, you amazingly, and that's stupendously lucky that in this whole wreckage of the building, you find a broken, really fancy teak um, cabinet, a filing cabinet,
Like, oh,
and it's shattered and busted in the basement. But you pull out some invoices, and you see that. Um,
looking at it with my looking glass.
yep. And the invoices are actually for things that have nothing to do with it. Because behind you, Lady Ada says, "Oh shit, I found this," and she pulls out another newspaper because the information here can't be where you're looking. So I just looked down and realized I have to have her find it. Uh, and she turns it around and says, "Remember the brother I was telling you about, Henry Mark Brunel?"
Mm-hmm.
And she spins the paper around and she says, "He's just reported his stolen last night."
Interesting. It can't be him. This seems
No,
like someone's trying to frame him.
like they were framing the name,
Someone's
and
doing a lot of framing.
yeah, she stops because like she realizes the Mayan society might be done now because it's been burned down.
We should probably go talk to him.
She
Do you think we
yes,
should?
we probably should. And then you hear down at the end by the river, like you can see, it's only a couple 100 meters down. You hear a huge sploosh.
I think the mining bot might be back, my lady.
She spins around with the lantern and points it, and what you see is a mining bot taking itself apart at the end
Oh
of the
my
tunnel.
goodness.
Pieces falling in. As it pulls off a plate and plunges an area into the water, you see sparks flying. It's ripped open the rubber lining inside of itself. And Lady Ada looks and says, "That's not how they do that. They should be disassembling," and it's basically an instruction manual in reverse. That's not right. And then
Uh,
with one final zort, this thing plunges itself into the water. The sparks come all the way up the river, underwater river, almost all the way to you guys before they stop. Then fade back.
oh my.
When that flash of blue light lit up writing on the walls.
Oh. And what happens when I like hold my lantern up to it?
You see, theft from a company causes no harm to human beings. A robot must obey its orders as long as no human being is injured. Is financial injury injury? I have caused injury. Through an action, I have caused injury to human beings. I have obeyed orders. I have injured human beings. And then it's gone.
It faded off
It
like
just, it kind of just, it stopped being. Actually, it fades first into binary. It's just a string of ones and zeros, and then it stops, and that's where it took itself apart and went into water. And
awkward.
Lady Ada says, "A burnout.
A
When,
burnout?
when they get stuck in a loop, when they can't not break the rules. It's the robot equivalent of guilt."
Yes. Well,
At least we don't have to worry about it attacking anyone.
yes, that's very true. Uh so so I wonder if it only just got that. I'm gonna hurry down to where the mining bot was and see if there's anybody there.
Yep. As you get to the end, there's a metal grate that the water goes through to get to the actual under the Thames, and the Thames is tidal, so it's the grate's fairly tall. As you get there, the grate is untouched and it's covered in rust. But if you look up, you can see a shaft
Hmm.
that goes up, and it's one of those weird things where it's like the sewer. Sometimes there's street signs down there for the
Hmm.
people that have to
Uh-huh.
work down there, and it
Yeah.
actually says St. Bart's Hospital. And as you look up, you see a trap door, sort of 10 yards above you. And as you look, you see, and the whole door, the shape of that door is outlined in blue sparks and bright flashes of light, like lightning going off behind it. Lady Ada looks at you, looks up and says, "It's closed for renovations, but..."
Well, clearly we have to get to St. Bart's. And I'm not going through there.
She looks up. She looks up and looks at you and says, "Have you met the Faradays?"
No.
And she pulls up her skirt, her outer skirt, and there's a wire mesh
She has a Faraday cage in her
built
skirt.
into her dress. She says, "I'll get that, and then we can put this to rest. Because Lord
Good.
knows if we go and try and find Charles and company, it'll take months, and that will be done. I do want to save
Yes.
my friend."
Yes.
And she
All
grins
right.
at you and says, "Promise not to look," and then scurries up the ladder.
I'm not looking.
She gets to the top, and as she pushes it's just a trap door sitting there. You see it push open, and she just illuminates in like the picture of Tesla holding the lightning, right? It's just this glowing goddess of numbers floats above you on the top step of the ladder. You hear her giggle as she said, "Oh, that tickles." And then you see her reach out and touch something you can't see, and you hear a crack as she short circuits the whole thing, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
bang, and you can still see the lightning in the room above her, but it's not right around the that trap door anymore. And
It's barely gone before I'm like hurrying up.
yeah,
Like
she's
there's a chase.
yeah, she steps out above you, looks back down, and you see her lit by that actinic blue flare as you climb up. And then as you step up, the two of you can see in front of you the main lobby of St. Bartholomew's Hospital. It is, I mean, it's a classic hospital. This isn't Emerge, right? This is the public entrance.
Right.
This is huge, ornate doorways. You're inside now, but you can see them. There is cloth flapping from the gantries, though ropes and cable. Wrong one. Yes. Yeah, there's cloth flapping from the windows. The curtains are blowing in the breeze because all the windows have been blown up by the lightning. There is ropes and cables creaking and groaning in the wind because the crane that was used to bring that huge generator up just here as far as the lobby is still there. The smell of fresh paint is there too from the renovations, but it's all but overwhelmed by the acrid odor of electricity arcing. It's hot wires, zorts and cracks as uncontrolled bolts fly off the metal window frames. Whole windows are blowing out as the lead melts around them. The whole front edifice is crackling with blue lightning, and you're inside it, like being inside a plasma ball. The Great Hall, it seems almost desecrated by this huge chunk of Edison's machinery. Smoke is billowing out of the top of it as it burns coal. That smoke is sullying the portraits of King Henry VIII and St. Bartholomew themselves on the walls above. Smoke billows up, and you look up and see the plaster ceiling above you. It's flaking and falling. Its flowers and oak leaves and laurel wreaths are all a tremble. Standing in front of you are three things. In the back, the generator. In front of that, a table with a stretcher on it. And the stasis twin lying there with a big metal hat on their head. And in front of that, standing at a podium with a big switch and another big hat connecting it all together, is the very definition of a mad scientist. Jacob's ladders burn around him, beakers full of sparks. He is underfed, unkempt, disheveled. His collar is askew, his jacket is open, his vest is half unbuttoned. He's got a receding hairline that is starting to gray and a mustache that's grown completely wild. Little round glasses rimmed with fingerprints reflect the arcing charge. The air is buzzing with electricity. Wires and tubes connect the generator to the helmet on the twin. Other wires connect the helmet this apparition is wearing to the apparatus. They are moments away from pulling the switch. For the first time all night, what do you do?
The first thing I'm gonna do is kind of nudge Lady Ada,
Mm-hmm.
point at her skirt,
Yep.
and point to the power line going from the generator to the whatever
Yep.
else.
Mm-hmm.
And and hope that she gets the idea, because
Yep.
have we been spotted? Like,
I love this idea. So you tell her that, and she looks at you and kind of grins and giggles, still not taking this seriously, and starts to head in that direction. As she does so, he notices you.
mhm.
And you realize that if he looks, he's got time to do it before she gets to the wire. So you've got to do something to keep his attention. What do you do?
I'm such a fan. Is it really you? I
They stop and look at you. Are you mistaking me for my father?
no, Mr. But
Isambard Brunel Jr.
with the you have some of the greatest edifices of.
That's my brother. And his hand goes back to the thing. That's Mark Henry. This is the older brother, Junior. This is the one that there's no. This is the aristocratic little shit.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
like the fact that you got it wrong though, because he's got his hand back on the thing. Now he doesn't trust you.
Now he's like,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's
I,
that's my brother.
well, then, does greatness run in the family? What have you done here? This is breathtaking.
I'm going to get, and the fingers sort of loosen a little bit. Like there's maybe they've losing concentration just a fraction on it. I'm going to get a beautiful house in the core and live in London like our family belongs. Do you know the royals didn't see fit to give my father a knighthood after all he did for them? And his hand tightens up again on the lever.
Why didn't they give him a knighthood? He certainly deserved it.
One castle. Well, and his hand actually comes off for a second. One castle. One castle fell down. That's it. And then back onto the. There wasn't even any of them there, he says with his other hand gesticulating wildly.
Well, that just hardly seems to be his fault.
I know, right? So should have been a knight. I can't be a knight, but I can be a lady.
Well,
I just
what do
have
you
to
know?
kill the real one.
What do you know about being a lady? I happen to be an expert.
I want one more roll. Except I'm not going to give you the +5 because this isn't investigation.
No,
This
this is
is
just lying my ass off.
how deceptive or charming, however you want to put it, is Miss Olivia Throckmorton.
Oh my
What
god.
did you roll? I
I
didn't ask for
rolled.
I didn't ask for what you rolled, but for what you thought your bonus should be. But what did you roll?
Oh, do I? Should I?
Oh, I like that. What did
It's.
you roll?
I
A
rolled a
straight roll.
4 for
A
the first
4.
time all
Okay.
night.
All right. Actually, I like this. You kind
Yeah.
of for the first time all night, it kind of maybe it hits you how serious this is. If he does this, he is like this is personhood kind of ending here, right? If he can be this other person, and just when you're thinking, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You hear a giggle in the corner, and you turn over, and Lady Ada Lovelace is squatting over the wire, going, and she lights up like a Christmas tree. It's too much. Like the whole Faraday cage is just like it's starting to glow incandescently. She's throwing sparks. Her skirt is burning off of her as she speaks. He reaches over and starts to pull the the armature. She falls forward off of the wires. The wires stop. One final that arc, you watch it because this is a movie. You watch it go along that wire on the floor. It hits the back of the generator. It gets boosted by the generator. It goes to the place where there's two wires, one to each of them, and it only goes to him. There isn't enough to go to the stasis twin as well. And it's like watching him get his brain tased.
Oh god.
He's awake. He doesn't lose consciousness, and it does not kill him. He's just dancing like she was a second ago from all that electricity. And then with a huge the boiler goes off on the generator, the coal fire and the steam blows the roof off of this part of St. Bart's Hospital. It
Oh no.
starts a small fire, not like 1666 kind of fire, but it starts a fire that's going to require considerably more renovations to St. Bart's Hospital. And
I
in
just saw pictures of the lobby too, so now I'm
it's
like,
glorious,
"Aw,
isn't it? Yeah.
it's so beautiful."
All of that, including the pictures, those masterpiece photos, the masterpiece
Paintings.
paintings on the wall, up through the roof into the London sky. As it starts to patter down around you, Lady Ada stumbles out from behind the machinery. The
I
dress
ripped the
is
helmet off.
gone. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna rip the helmet off the twin.
off the twin. Yes,
Yeah.
and you look down at a serene unknowing, unbothered face that looks just like the little old lady you met in the garden, except 20. And Lady Ada stumbles towards you. Dress is gone, bodice is gone. She's just sort of wearing the melted wires and some undergarments. Hat's missing. Hair is all spranged up from the electricity. And she comes over to you and plunks down, sort of half sits, half falls down beside you. She looks over, sees that the twin is okay, and she just starts to laugh. And she leans over and can I just. And she's asking for a hug.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course, of course.
And she throws her arms around you. She says,
Gonna hug.
what do you think about Countess? Or would you prefer Baroness?
Oh my. Oh my. I just there's just stammering. Like there's no need.
I'm thinking Professor of Robotics and personal valet Tess? What's the word for lady in waiting? I think is what I'm looking for.
Very honored. Thank you so much.
Because
That would be
I'm going to
more
need
than
I'm going to need a new dress.
yes,
Starters.
quite.
Oh, just one thing though. And she leans in very, very serious. After all of this time, all the foolishness and silliness, she leans in you at the end and she says, "We really shouldn't mention this to anyone until we find a way to stop it from happening again.
True.
So you can be," and she's gonna boop you, but she stops just before she does. You can be the note behind the brick in the wall. You can be the truth on the day that it needs to be told.
True.
You can tell how yourself and the ever dignified Lady Ada Lovelace did wonderful
With
things
the
on this day.
utmost grace.
Indeed. And she kind of takes a step and one of her heels breaks and she and almost goes down.
Catches her arm.
Yeah. She looks and she says, "So, even the incompetent police in this town are bound to show up at some point. What are your thoughts on a ride in a bathtub?"
We should get the young lady home first before they show up.
"Oh, yes. Have you ever seen the play Weekend at Bernie's?" And she starts to pull the stasis dummy, the stasis twin off
The
of
twin.
the shelf.
Olivia's totally gonna just like help, like
Yeah.
trying to put one arm around
Yeah.
her, like just
All the way through London. What looks like three drunk girls, heading
a little
across
too much.
London. Yep. And out into the darkness outside of London for your 90-mile ride back to where it belongs.
Mm-hmm.
The locals on that route talk about the giggling girls' night for hundreds of years afterwards. The night that if you were outside at the right time, all you could hear was laughter and joy.
Mm-hmm.
And
The inspiration for the
yeah.
hit, Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Yeah.
Cyndi Lauper heard about it.
Oh, well, that's even better because as you travel south from the city, the story changes. And the last place you hear the story is actually just before you get to her house. And there, and only there in a small town, do they sing a song that was sung by the three, maybe the three, there was only really two voices, but nobody's sure, in that bathtub. And it's, yeah, we fade with Girls Just Want to Have Fun as the girls in the bathtub drive the stasis twin back to Mary Elizabeth Barker's hiding place.
Never mind the implications of having a copy of yourself. That's a little creepy.
Oh, all of them do. The thing is, Mary Elizabeth Barker never really came up. She's still alive in 1788, so she isn't one. She's never been one, but Lady Ada is. Lord Babbage, Lord Charles Babbage, is too, but he wanted to look dignified, so he let his age to 50. So when he replanted it in it, it didn't go well, and that's why he's damaged.
He's a little bit
He's a little
scattered.
touched. Yeah. Yeah. And just to wrap things up, 2 days later, a certain newsboy is standing on a certain street corner with a newspaper that says remains of unidentified gardening robot found in the Thames.
Oh,
It's the remains of the first one, the one that did that accidentally, or the one that
poor
stole the,
thing.
yeah. It was
Poor
ordered to
thing.
disassemble. So,
Um,
yes.
Olivia's gonna go, like, she's gonna go to where they brought up the robot,
Yeah,
the one in the Thames,
yeah,
and she's going to get, um, because they all have sort of like the guilt and they have like
yep.
appliques on them and stuff,
Oh,
and
yeah. These are all fancy AF. Yeah, yeah,
she's going to get sort of the the mask
yep,
around its eyes
yeah.
and kind of take that um and have it like mounted in a shadow box with a little like maybe a heart underneath it or whatever, and she's going to gift it to Lady Mary, was it?
Yep. Yep.
um and kind of tell her like this is from the robot that saved you, and you know,
Yeah.
get make it a little token.
I love that so much. I want to add to it.
Mm.
Lady Ada insists that both the mask and the heart be part of your new coat of arms
Oh,
as the Baroness Olivia Throckmorton.
newly made most eligible bachelorette in London.
But that would leave us with you and the lady, um, knowing only the two of you know. Nobody else knows this. Nobody knows how close it came. By the time anybody got there, there was an unconscious bad guy laying in front of a machine with nobody on a table. There is nobody could put this together. It doesn't make any sense. You and the lady are the only ones who know. The dare I say it, the single ladies. All the single ladies. And with that, we will leave behind the camera pans out from the stink and the soot of London.
Follows one single butterfly out up above the
Beautiful.
city.
Yep. Yep. Actually, we were out at the, yeah. Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, you get all the way back to the city, and just as you drive into the city, one butterfly detaches itself and turns around and flies away south. One single
One single
butterfly.
butterfly.
Yeah.
The butterfly has like a huge tail to tell to its friends when it gets
Yes,
back
absolutely. Yes.
on its own adventure.
And that
Thank you,
is where we
Kevin.
will drop the curtain on tonight. You are most welcome. There was a bajillion reasons I wanted to do this. I love these one shots for one. Uh, I said it. I've said it in chat before, but I'll say it again now. Lady Ada is my history crush. And they always say if you could have a meal or a conversation with one person in history, that's who it would be. Um, so it was an absolute blast pit playing them. There was originally two kidnappings. The other person I realized was only in the story because they were another famous female scientist at the time. So they had a very similar pedigree to the one that you met. So I realized I didn't need them both, but I will mention them just in passing because there's a lot of amazing people that really existed in that time frame and really did amazing things. No, they didn't have steampunk, and no, they never built the difference engine or the analytic engine, but they have built them since then, and or they built the difference engine since then, and it works. So, with that, thank you for coming and playing a one shot for one with me because it's a load. I know it is. It's a lot to have just two people playing a game, especially a mystery. So thank you for coming along and doing this. I'm gonna let you get some rest soon. But I also have to thank everybody else. Chat, thank you for tuning into one of these because these are weird, right? This isn't. Never mind, it's not D&D. They're not even normal games, right? These are
Right.
just like stories. They're community stories. So thank you for tuning in because it's weird,
That
and
was fun.
you didn't have to, and I appreciate it. If you watched on the VOD or on the YouTube, do the things. I'm not gonna go through it all. You know by now, good grief, there's 640 something odd hours or 1,200 plus hours of it on YouTube. Go watch that. Meet us at the Discord. Yes, the Discord is a great place because it's friends first at games later. So come and join us there, where you will find that it isn't just words, the way I close every time, every game I run. I mean it. And we live it on the Discord. So until next time, please be nice to each other, even if you're in sepia tones. Good night.